Thank you to our frontliners for being our modern heroes. We appreciate your sacrifices.
Our dear frontliners, thank you for having a brave heart, kind heart, and caring heart. God bless you all.
Dear frontliners, thank you for doing your best to take care of our country. Thank you for being such a nice person to us. I hope you guys are safe, and thank you for always helping us. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you, frontliners. Keep safe. God bless. Bye. For caring us, I love you. I always pray for you. Dear Dr. Francis, thank you for taking care of us. I love you.
Communication arts allows you to dip your feet into anything. You will never feel limited, and you will never feel boxed in.
Taking up communication arts made me realize I can be at places I didn't imagine. Eventually, along the process, na-discover ko pala na I can do more. I am more than my dreams.
And so being a comm arts major gives me confidence that wherever I am, I can speak my mind in any situation and communicate with ease with others.
Most importantly, communication arts students have the opportunity to understand communication in a wide variety of contexts. We have the power to influence and educate others for the better.
Philippine Women's University allowed me to explore far beyond my expectation. Whether you are just building your networks or just exploring who or where you want to be, PWU will not just give you papers, exams, curriculums, but you will learn by experience.
For over 100 years, the Philippine Women's University has been known as a leader in quality education. In 1934, PWU moved into its main campus on Taft Avenue, and since the 1970s has been co-educational. Located in the heart of Metro Manila, it is easily accessible by public transport and surrounded by affordable housing. PWU School of Nursing has been offering high-quality, student-centered, and innovative nursing programs for over 6 decades. PWU's graduate programs upgrade the qualifications of nursing professionals, allowing them to advance in their chosen fields in the Philippines and globally. In the allied health fields, PWU pioneered in programs such as pharmacy, which was established in 1926 to train students who want to succeed in any aspect of pharmacy services. The first women doctors polyclinic in the Philippines was set up in PWU in 1951. In 1986, PWU's Bachelor of Science in Nutrition and Dietetics became the first nutrition program to be accredited by the Philippine Association of Colleges and Universities. PWU was also the first educational institution in the Philippines to focus on the prevention of acute illnesses and chronic diseases through its Master of Science in Clinical Nutrition program taught jointly with the St. Luke's Medical Center. PWU School of Medical Technology offers a competency-based curriculum enhanced by intensive training in clinical laboratory procedures. Offering a Bachelor of Science in Medical Technology and a Master's program in Medical Technology and Health Systems Management, PWU also offers a certificate program in phlebotomy. In nursing and the allied health fields, PWU continues to play an essential role in healthcare education, producing graduates who possess the skills that make them competitive in the country and anywhere in the world.
So we will start with an opening prayer. Let us put ourselves in the and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Most loving Father, I thank you for the gift of new day. Please help me to use it for your honor and glory by your grace. May all our thoughts, words, and action be pleasing today in your sight. In your great kindness, Lord Almighty, preserve us on this day without sin and protect all your people from every evil. May the ever blessed Virgin Mary, Mother of our Savior, keep us under her protection and by her prayers and the aid of all your saints. Keep us ever intent in doing good for your sake. We ask this blessing through your Son, Jesus Christ, our Redeemer. Amen.
Amen.
In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
So good morning, everyone. So 53 already in the Zoom room. And Since Doc Ilag did have some audio concern yesterday, he will be our first person to give us the takeaway and the recap for this morning's session. And after Sir Ilag, we will have again Sir Rintoy to continue on the part two of building moral intelligence. Sir Ilag?
Okay. Yes, good morning, everyone. Um, well, yesterday I regretted that I failed to give the takeaway portion due to some technical problems. And now I believe that everyone deserves a second chance. I hope this time it is sweeter. It is indeed a blessing and an honor to have with us our humble, soft spoken speaker who is himself also a teacher. So I'm very glad to learn that he's also a teacher. So yesterday, Serentoy, our speaker, thanked all the teachers for forging ahead and for choosing to still be a teacher despite our current abnormal situation during this pandemic. He acknowledged our resilience that even if the situation is difficult, we are here and we are choosing to teach. In that sense, according to him, we also belong to the frontliners. He commended PWU and the administration headed by our university president, Sir Marco, for its courage of deciding to move forward and face squarely the challenges of the current situation. And then he recognized the irreplaceable role of teachers, that indeed the role of teacher cannot be replaced by internet in terms of teaching character, professionalism, hard work, and goodness. Even parents cannot perform the unique role of teachers to students. So, according to him, let us not look down or belittle our profession. He reminds us also to still count our blessings during this current situation, difficult situation. Not only about the excuse for shower, as he jokingly said, but most of all, our great opportunity to be with our family. I am also very grateful for that. That this time I am always with my family. He said, "How dark may be the world of the youth today. Young people today are assured that they can still learn because of the teachers. However, he reminded the teachers should stay calm and avoid stress. Also, here he gave a description of uh, the youth of today who are seemingly manipulated by the world to become self-centered and selfish, and that can be found in the context of the so-called pageantry of vanity or the so-called sense of entitlement, no? Which was clearly demonstrated to us by Sarento yesterday. And then he has that conclusion that what is needed today is actually the character formation. And therefore, he reminded that teachers are not hired, specifically we, the PWU teachers, we are not hired just to teach science and math, but also our obligation is to teach character. So teachers should teach PWU students to be smart, to be good citizens, and to make sense about this life. And so he challenged the teachers to acquire the so-called moral excellence. Now, moral excellence is not happening overnight. No, actually, moral excellence, or later on, it can be also understood as virtue, is actually a long life or lifelong process. It's a lifelong personal and community effort, according to our speaker. So he is challenging us to consider ourselves not just subject teachers, but also teachers of students. I think that's that statement has a deep meaning. No, we are not only teachers of academics here, but we must be teachers of life. No, and then he proceeded by sharing the principles that he is actually embracing for his more than 30 years of experience as classroom teacher. The first is that character formation is not just another subject, but it should be embedded in every subject that we teach. And that the only effective way to teach is through the example of our life. We have to teach professionalism, and that should be manifested in our classroom management, or in short, let us have the so-called walk the talk. No? Let ourselves be the very example of the thing that we are teaching inside the classroom. And the next is that we have to stop. So it's now a warning that we have to stop. Sorry, teaching subject, but we have to start teaching students. Now he also explains some features of character, and one is that character is destiny. Uh, Well, I remember also that one of the saying, I think that is Lao Tzu who said um, that let's beware of our thought because can become our word. Beware of our word because it can become our action. Beware of our action because it can become our attitude. No? And beware of our attitude because finally it can become our destiny. And I can see the association of that with this, no, what our beloved speaker said. Now here also is the recognition of the role of parents, no, in character building, and later on I would like to emphasize for my takeaway, no, the role of parents, which is so crucial in the character building. And also stability of life depends upon character, which is true. Character, not passion, save marriages. I think that is real. And character makes us survive from crisis. Now he proceeded with describing the problems of the youth today in the school setting. Now, for example, with little problems, there are attempts to commit suicide. Okay, and there are substance abuse, no, abuses, no, in the school. And this is very true. Growing disrespect to parents, teachers, and other authorities, no, by the students. And there is a widespread cheating and dishonesty. No, I am it's really funny, no, like what our speaker demonstrated, about cheating, about considering themselves resourceful by committing plagiarism, and of course increased vulgarity. Okay, and then he there is a mention. He mentioned that usually the response of the schools, which we think are not really the real solution to the problem, like installing metal detectors, CCTV cameras, homeschooling, those are not the solution to the problem. But the real solution actually is character formation, according to our speaker. Moral literacy, and our main topic today, according to him, which is moral intelligence, which is translated as to act and to think right. Our speaker has a mention of some of the initiatives that he has already, he has brought to the Philippines already, like Character Education Partnership Philippines, Center for the Fourth and Fifth RS, no, namely reading, writing, arithmetic, and the additional, respect and responsibility. Well, our speaker zeroed in, by focusing on the main topic for our seminar, which is building moral intelligences and the discussions of the seven essential virtues. No? And he mentioned about the author of the book, Dr. Michelle Borba, who said that the first step in teaching moral intelligence is by being a moral example. Enhancing moral intelligence is our best hope to get them on the right course so that they can act and think right. So our speaker actually has started discussing some of the essential virtues, specifically the core, the three core, the empathy, conscience, self-control. And today he is to continue the discussion of the other essential virtues. Now, for the takeaway for yesterday's event, I have here actually four reflections, no? While listening attentively to our speaker. One is that this topic has a personal impact to me, to my life, to me personally as a professor, a teacher, because my subject is ethics, no? Well, other philosophy subjects, ethics and morality, and it is explained in the context of philosophy. My subject actually is not only about rote memorization. So my students find it's really difficult because I usually tell them that this subject is about life. No? Well, it is academic by curriculum, uh, but but the approach is so personal. No? And the subject is what answers the deepest query about our life. No? And this is also about making sense about our existence. So I can personally relate with the topic of our speaker. Is personally relevant to me. The second reflection that I have is that teaching is primarily a vocation and only secondarily a profession, because I personally believe that very few people venture to this kind of endeavor. No? We are not so many in this world. There are only few teachers, and the driving force that we have is the passion. And maybe well, one of the reasons why we are resilient, why we are still here and still deciding to teach, is because of that call. Um, so yes, and the third one is I'm very much fascinated by the so-called virtue, and usually when I teach my students, no, there is a etymological understanding of virtue, and I just want to share with you. According to that discussion, virtue, uh, and I want it to relate to moral excellence that our speaker is saying. It is said that virtue has no Tagalog equivalent. No? Wala tayong makitang salitang virtue, no? Sa Tagalog. Ang meron tayo yung salitang virtud, no? Which is usually understood as anting-anting, no? As very far. Now, meron ng mga Spanish na tinatawag daw na virtuoso. And that is usually associated with skill, no? Parang practice, ganon. Now, surprisingly, looking at the etymology of virtue, so the root word is vir, no? V-I-R. And surprisingly, the meaning of that is man. No? So if you will translate, man is manliness. Well, when I say manliness, ang hindi ibig sabihin ay pagpapakalalaki, ano? But generally, manliness is translated as pagpapakatao. So meron tayong saying na madaling maging tao at mahirap namang magpakatao. So actually, pagpapakatao there is the virtue, no? Which can be attained in the human level, no, that even if you're not too religious, you can do that, no, because that is in the human level. However, ang maganda rito sa sinasabi sa virtue is it is a lifelong process, no. Yung pag in-apply natin yung virtuoso, which means skill, so ang pagpapakatao, yung virtue talaga, kinakailangan ng practice. Now, the question is, how many practice? Parang basketball or boxing. Pagkagising ba natin, magaling na tayong mag-basketball or mag-boxing. So, it is countless practice. No? That is the requirement. No? So which means that pagpapakatao pala is a challenge to do it na as a lifelong process. It's a continuous practice na hindi tayo dapat tumigil. And then finally, for the takeaway, I remember in 2006 at PWU, we invited the director of UNICEF for a talk. And one thing that I cannot forget sa sinabi niya, uh, ay yung sinabi niya na tayo daw ay mahilig, gustong-gusto natin magkaroon ng degree, no? Like master's degree, and we are so proud of the degree, no? Like PhD and so on. But what is not good, no, para sa kanya is bakit daw walang nag-aaral ng degree sa parenting? Kunyari, master's degree in parenting or doctor's degree in parenting. That is his biggest regret. Kasi sabi niya, the greatest responsibility that the parents can have in this world is raising the children. And the responsibility of parents is not only feeding them and giving them or providing them yung mga pangailangan nila, mga gadget, mga vanity na sinasabi ng ating speaker, no? But most of all, dapat talaga ma-educate. It's the education. The greatest responsibility of the parents is education. But not only academic education, but it should be moral education. And that I think is what connects to our topic today, moral intelligence. So with that, I thank you everybody for listening to me. I hope I have given justice to myself for not being able to present last meeting. So siguro po nakabawi na ako. Thank you so much for listening.
Yes, yes, Doc Ilag. So malaman na malaman at mukhang ginawa mo ang lahat para sa umagang ito for the recap and the takeaway. So dahil dyan, I will now turn the baton to Sir Rentoy for
Okay,
part 2.
great. Thank you, Sir Ilag, for that very thorough recap. So hindi na pala kayo dapat nag-attend kahapon. You could have just gotten everything from the summary. Thank you. Thank you for
Nakinig, sir. Sineryoso kayo.
Okay, well, let's continue from where we left off yesterday. Like what we did yesterday, somewhere along the way, I will do a bit of a break by showing you a video. And then hopefully we again finish 11:45 so that we have a few minutes for Q&A. And if some questions are not answered, don't worry. I'm going to give you later my email address for you to email me if you have any question, clarification. Okay, well, thank you for coming back, for joining us again today. This is where we ended yesterday. We were talking about the second virtue of the 7 essential virtues. Tinapos natin kahapon yung una, which is empathy. And then we started talking about the second, which is conscience. Remember, sabi ko, these are the three, yung first three are the core values through which the 4 others will follow. And a person without these 3 foundational virtues, mahirapan, lumaki with moral intelligence, which sadly, we may be seeing in society today. May crisis in character, in society, all these things, corruption, lying, cheating, crimes, they can all be rooted in the absence of empathy, conscience, etc. So let's continue on. The second step to building a strong conscience is step 2, teach virtues to strengthen the conscience and guide behavior. Of course, nabanggit na rin over and over yung pwede nating sabihin, alam mo, sir, Mr. Rantoy, trabaho talaga ito ng parents, no? Yes, we agree. Sabi nga nila, ang bata dapat pagpasok pa lang ng eskwelahan, grade 1 or prep pa lang, Natutunan na dapat niya sa bahay ang hard work, ang empathy, ang conscience, ang kindness, ang charity. But that is not what is happening today. We sometimes have students inside the classroom na parang isip natin walang konsyensya. That makes our job more important. Okay? That makes the job of the teacher more important than ever. Minsan sasabihin natin, hindi lang tayo second parents eh. Parang nagiging primary. Especially sa Pilipinas, we are in a special situation where we have 11 million Filipinos working abroad. Parents, many of them, who are absentee parents. And so, now more than ever, we need teachers who will step in and help in forming the young people to be good people, not just smart, but also good. In other words, now is the time for real good educators to step in and fill in the gap, to fill in the vacuum, even sometimes we can say. So I'll give you 6 strategies to teach virtues that promote strong conscience. Number 1, as a faculty, you can do this. Sit down as a faculty and agree. Ano ba ang top 3 or 4 or 5 virtues na gusto nating every PWU student would have? That's what you call vision, core values. I have visited hundreds of schools around the Philippines in my 10 years of doing this, giving seminars to teachers. Minsan, 10 minutes inside the campus, masasabi ko kagad if the school is serious about promoting values. Those schools that are serious about promoting values, kahit saan ka magpunta, kahit saang building, naka-display, nakapaskil. These are our core values. These are the things we believe in. The mission and vision are very clear. So, as a faculty, if we don't have this yet, let's sit down and then agree. This year, the special, irregular, pandemic school year, what are the virtues that we want to, in a special way, inculcate among our students? It can be resilience, it can be toughness, it can be perseverance, it can be kindness and reaching out to the others, whatever it is. But it's good to have clear in mind, everyone, clear about ano ang mga virtues na gusto nating maibigay sa mga bata, sa mga estudyante itong school year na to. Number 2, accentuate a virtue each month. Well, Sir Marco grew up in Southridge and he's very familiar with the VOM system, the Virtue of the Month system. And yeah, it works. When I was a student in Southridge, inumpisahan na namin yon, and I'm not exaggerating, every now and then in my life now, when I have to make decisions, I cannot help look back to those things that I picked up in my years of Southridge education. Accentuate a virtue. Number 3, describe the value and meaning of the virtue. Dapat alam ng mga bata, anong ibig sabihin natin ng resilience? Class, resilience means kahit maputulan kayo ng internet, gagawa ka ng paraan para makabalik sa Google Classroom para makasubmit on time. Resilience. So, hindi lang natin sinasabi kung anong virtues ang gusto nating makuha nila. We make it clear to them, how does this virtue look like and sound like? I'll share with you 3 ideas to accomplish this. Virtue talks, read alouds, giving them articles to read. You see, 3 ideas na some of them applicable to all levels, from grade school all the way to college. Some may be just applicable to the lower grades. But yeah, we have to expose them to reading materials, for example, that will make them understand better. Ano ibig sabihin natin ng fortitude? Ano ibig sabihin natin ng loyalty? Number 4, teach what the virtue looks and sounds like. Number 5, reinforce the virtue in daily life. And number 6, find opportunities for your students to practice the virtue. I'll give you examples. Sabi ko dito, to sit down and then to determine ano ang mga virtues na gusto nating makuha ng mga bata. Ang daming virtues. I'll give you some examples from this long list. Makikita ninyo, ay oo nga, ang dami natin pwedeng pagpilian. Now, our objective is, and this is just the first of 3 slides, listing down some of the virtues. And then iisipin natin, given itong situation natin ngayon, special, irregular, abnormal, ano ang mga kailangang ma-inculcate natin, ma-emphasize sa ating mga estudyante. So, nandyan itong honesty, resourcefulness, respect, responsibility. Second set, may consideration, cooperation, initiative, integrity. Integrity, kasi ngayon, pag sinabi mong class, please submit this. Hindi mo sila mababantayan kung talagang sila nga gumawa nun. Kasi gagawin nila sa bahay, gagawin nila sa internet. Now is the time for integrity. I always make this a point sa klase na hinahawakan ko. I would always announce something like this. Okay, class, next week ang submission natin. I don't have to remind you. Please do not even think about cheating. Yan. Dapat lumalabas yan sa bibig natin. Paulit-ulit. Or before, nung nasa loob pa ng classroom ang classes, bago ko i-distribute ang exam papers, I never fail to announce, okay, class, please don't even think about cheating. I'm going to distribute the papers and I trust that you will be honest and you will not resort to cheating. So, malinaw na you are setting standards for them as far as integrity, honesty, uprightness is concerned. And then even more. So you see, there are so many virtues that we can choose from. Well, let me pause and break from my outline because every time I've spoken to thousands, tens and thousands of teachers around the Philippines, even around the world. I've spoken in Kuala Lumpur, in Sri Lanka, in Chicago, in California. When I'm talking to teachers, I never fail to mention these 3 things. And I want to mention them to you now because most of you are teachers, if not all. Number 1, teachers, please do not ever use foul language, bad words. Because when we do, our reputation plummets. We lose our effectiveness in being character formator. Number 2, teachers, wala kang karapatan na magalit sa estudyante mo if they submit their paper, their assignment late. Kung kayo mismo late magbigay ng grades, late magbigay ng unit plans, late magbigay ng submissions of our requirements as teachers. In other words, we cannot demand from our students something we do not first show by our example. Okay, that's very important. And then here's number 3. I never fail to mention when I am talking to teachers. Number 3, teachers, do not ever speak badly of your administrators, of your school. As teachers of PWU, your objective is to get your students identify themselves with the spirit of the school, with what the school stands for. Pero kung kayo mismo ang unang-unang nakikriticize, saying bad things about your administrator, your boss, your supervisor, your school, then you have lost your effectiveness in being able to do that, of being able to get your students identify themselves with the spirit of the school, with what the school stands for. So, and that's part of loyalty. And that's part of being a teacher of character. One of the greatest gifts you can instill in any child is a deep-seated belief that says, I am a good and moral person. You see? And as teachers, this is our greatest success. If 10 years from now, 20 years from now, your students come back to PWU, look for you, and tell you, Ma'am, I am who I am because of you. I may have forgotten factoring. I may have forgotten subject, verb, agreement, but I have not forgotten yung paulit-ulit ninyong sinabi sa amin, ma'am, that you expect us to have uprightness of character, of morals, of being honest, of being men or women of integrity. Well, let me continue on with some more strategies. For some grade school teachers, here are 3 fun ways to cultivate virtues in the classroom. Virtue fiesta, virtue scrapbook, virtue self-portrait. Fiesta means celebrating honesty, celebrating cheerfulness, celebrating friendship, camaraderie. Virtue scrapbook, you make them do scrapbooks that show, for example, a scrapbook on hard work, cutouts from magazines and newspapers that show hard work, integrity, honesty, etc. And then virtue, self-portrait. What are your top virtues as a person? What do you think are your strengths? I'm going to go to step number 3 of building conscience, using moral discipline to help your student learn right from wrong. Okay, use moral discipline to help your student learn right from wrong. More or less, we tackled this yesterday because it's one of the tips, 10 tips of Michelle Borba on how to raise moral children. Well, very quickly, here are just 4 R's of moral discipline. When you are disciplining a student, instead of just going around punishing, sanctioning, here are 4 R's. First, respond calmly and assess the intention of the student. Review why the behavior is wrong. Review with a student. Why do you think that's wrong? Why do you think that thing you did is wrong? And then make the person reflect. What do you think is the effect of that? And then right the wrong by encouraging the child or the student, the person, to make a reparation. Okay, we go over those 4 R's. There are many more that we have to tackle. We now go to the third, which is building self-control, the third of the core values. But I'd like to share first a video with you, like we did yesterday, just to give a bit of a break to what we're doing. And I think this video is very interesting. Let me see. Sorry. Okay.
As you can see, we're closing a lot of departments. What we can offer you is an early retirement. June, sa atin lang to. Hirap ang kumpanya. And we have to let you go. Don't worry. We'll give you proper compensation. And we wish you all the best.
Kanya-kanya tayo ng pinagdadaanan. Kanya-kanya tayo ng coping mechanism. May iba, dinadaan sa workout ang recent breakup. Baka kasi yung push-up can lift their spirits up. Yung iba dinadaan sa sayaw. kahit walang partner. Dahil ala-ala na lang ng dance partner niya ang meron siya. Meron din na nilalabas lang sa ML ang tapang. Dahil sa totoong buhay, may mga bully talaga na walang magawa sa buhay. Kanya-kanyang struggle, kanya-kanyang kinakaya. Pero sa gitna ng feeling na mag-isa, sa gitna ng kaya ko pa ba? Kain muna. May darating na init na yumayakap na kahit sandali lang, gagaan ng kaunti ang pakiramdam na kahit walang salita, ramdam na di nag-iisa.
Mga anak, tay, may importante lang akong kailangan sabihin.
Nag-iisip kami ni Papa ng bagong business. Ituloy na namin yung dream niya para sa atin. Makakasama na natin si Papa. Excited na ba kayo?
Kanya-kanya man tayo ng dinadala. Sa pagmamahal, kakapit ang isa't isa.
Okay, that's just to to give it a bit of a break. Thank you, Nor, for that inspiring commercial. Let's go to the third virtue, which is self-control, defined as regulating your thoughts and actions so that you stop any pressures from within or without and act the way you know and feel is right. Some people say ito ang pinaka-problematic sa mga bata ngayon. Parang wala ng self-control. Well, maybe yes, maybe no, but we cannot deny the fact na ang lakas ng addiction to gadgets, for example, right? Among many young people. Magsisinungaling yan tungkol sa paggamit ng computer, ng computer games. Pag tinanong mo, ba't ka naglalaro? Tapos ka na ba mag-aral? Of course, sasabihin nila, tapos na. Kahit hindi pa, no? So, lack of self-control. Here are 4 factors, according to Dr. Borba, why there is a crisis in self-control. Number 1, overworked, stressed out parents and teachers. Number 2, early abuse and trauma. Number 3, over-reliance on chemical restraints instead of self-constraints. Yan. Di ba? Dumami ngayon ng mga ganyan. Yung mga under-medication for ADD, ADHD. Nung bata ako, wala yun. Nung bata ako, wala yun. The parents disciplined the child and did everything possible. Today, we have all these chemical restraints being given to students, to young people especially. And then number 4, glorification of out-of-control behavior in entertainment, in video games especially, in movies that are full of violence and I mean, really, the blockbuster movies all would have uh, almost like a glorification of lack of self-control. No? So here are signs of self-control. People with self-control say things like this: I need to calm down. I feel angry. That's self-control. I'll save my money instead of buying that toy. Yan. Nabanggit kanina ni Sir Ilag yung commercialism. I think also Dr. Ligo mentioned before we began, it is a crisis. It is a problem among uh, the young generation today. They are like enslaved by commercialism. They are parang kailangan they have to have the latest, the upgrade, the most expensive. Yan. But a person with self-control will say, I will raise my hand before talking. I understand the rules, so I won't break it. The cake looks so good, but it's almost dinner time. I will not eat. I'd really like to go with you, but I have to study. I have to do my homework, so I'll watch TV later. Now, going over this, we realize, ay, maraming bata ngayon, wala ngang self-control. Because you sometimes, many times we don't hear this. So what people with self-control do, they take 3 deep breaths when they feel stressed. They don't explode in anger, in frustration. They wait patiently in line without pushing or cutting. They say no to urges that they know are bad choices. They don't lose control when angry or upset. They behave well even when no one is watching. And they start working without procrastinating. They plan what they will do and follow through. Immediately, going over this, we realize, ay, oo nga, ito nga ang one of the most important things we need to develop among the young people. Kasi kulang sila nitong mga to. These descriptions that I gave, many of them don't have it. Okay, we have again 3 steps to build self-control. Number 1 is modeling self-control. And this, I think, is the 6th time we're talking about modeling. The only effective way to give character formation is through the example of our life. And then we will go to number 2, encouraging them to be their own motivator. And step 3 is teaching them to control their urges and think before acting. So, step 1 is to model it. Think about it. How do I, as a teacher, if I'm supposed to model self-control, how do I act in front of my students when the day is hard and my patience is lacking? Those of you who are parents, you should be asking this question as well. How do I act in front of my children pag ang araw ay napakahirap at nauubusan ako ng pasensya? How do I control my own anger and stress? That's why I mentioned yesterday, screaming, yelling, that has no place inside the classroom for the teacher. In the middle of an argument, am I able to stop and say, let's stay calm? And am I doing anything in excess? Drinking, eating, smoking, swearing, spending, working, playing. That might send a wrong signal to the young people. Here are 4 practices that nurture self-control. Number 1, teach the meaning and value of self-control. Talk about it. Class, I hope you will discipline yourself to finish things on time. Let me tell you, I had students who failed in the past. Yan, you're teaching them the meaning and value of self-control. I had students who failed the subject in the past, not because they didn't understand it, but simply because they were not punctual in submitting things. They procrastinated. They left things for the last minute. So you are now teaching them the meaning and value of self-control as applied to punctuality. I'm sure you've heard of the marshmallow experiment. Kids were put in a room and they were told, okay, kids, all of you are going to get 2 marshmallows each. I'm going to leave you here. And then when I come back, the adult tells them, when I come back, those who have not eaten the marshmallows will get 2 more. But if you have eaten it, then you don't get any more. As soon as the adult leaves the room, yung mga bata hindi nila alam, ino-observe sila through a one-way mirror. As soon as the adult leaves the room, some kids ate the marshmallows. Some others, may pakurut-kurut ng marshmallow, ganyan, trying their best not to eat. No? Some others, they did not look at the marshmallows so that they are not tempted. And then, that's not the experiment yet. Sinundan ng researchers ang buhay nitong mga batang ito. And what they discovered is very clear. Those with self-control, they did not eat the marshmallows. 15 years later, were high achievers, successful, and doing very well in school, in academics. Those who did not have self-control were below average performers, some of them even failures already in academics, and already, in fact, out of school. May correlation ang self-control with success. And amazingly, they did not end there. They followed their life 15 more years later, and the result would always show the same. They repeated this experiment to different kinds of kids with different backgrounds, the same findings. Self-control leads to success and achievement. Number 2, commit yourself to raising kids with self-control. Number 3, create a class motto, a class self-control motto. You know, motto like in this class, we do things without being told. Yan. In this class, we prioritize achievement, or we prioritize fulfillment of duty. That's self-control motto. And you make them write it on the paper. You make them always write it on every submissions that they do, as a reminder that this is our motto. Number 4, set a rule to talk only when in control. Okay, let's go to step number 2 to build self-control. Encourage them to be their own motivator. That they are not going to practice self-control because you're threatening them with sanction, because you're offering a reward. No, but they practice self-control and they are their own motivators. 5 simple ways to help kids reinforce themselves for a job well done. This is part of the strategy we talked about yesterday. Reinforce moral behavior by reinforcing, in this case, job well done. Switch your pronouns from I to you. You will be successful. You will do this work. You are you're passing on the responsibility to succeed in what they're doing, not from I, but to you. Encourage internal praise. You tell them that if you're able to submit on time, give yourselves a pat in the back. You tell yourself you deserve a break. You tell yourself, so encourage internal praise. Ask the child, the person, the student to acknowledge herself or himself. Keep an accomplishment journal. Design a certificate. They don't have to print it. It's just like a design that you say to them, you tell them that design a certificate that you think you should receive for the hard work you put in this week. That's developing internal motivation. Strategies for effective praise. Praise the action, not the child. Make the praise as specific as possible. John, thank you for submitting on time. It's a very big improvement from your last submission. Keep it up. So that's something very specific. Make the praise as specific as possible. The praise should really be deserved, and the praise should be genuine. Step 3, to building self-control. Teach them to control their urges and think before acting. I mentioned earlier, this is especially related to commercialism. So I'll share with you, there are many strategies Dr. Borba gives in the book for us to achieve step 3. This is just one example. for anger control strategies. For example, develop a feeling vocabulary. Are you frustrated? Are you angry? Are you nearing burnout? Develop a feeling vocabulary so that they more or less start developing also an understanding of the stages where they are at any point as far as anger and controlling anger is concerned. Identify anger warning signs. Do you start sweating? Do your hands start clenched like that? Then it means you are getting angry and you have to control it. Use self-talk to stay in control. And then I know many people who do this. John, calm down, calm down. You will overcome this. It's good to keep yourself in control. Teach abdominal breath control, breathing exercise that will help them to stay calm. 8 ways to help kids control their spending urges. This is related to what we mentioned earlier, commercialism. If they are able to control themselves as far as spending is concerned, that's a big battle won in gaining self-control. Examples, well, these are strategies at home that parents can use to help their kid develop self-control as far as spending urges are concerned. Give weekly or monthly allowance so that he or she can learn to budget money. Buy him or her a piggy bank to save coins. Make a rule that it must be filled before the money is spent. Make him draw or write down intended purchase and post it for a few days before he buys it. Actually, this can also be good for us. If one day you have the urge to buy the latest iPhone, the latest Samsung, we can also do this as a way of developing our own self-control as far as spending is concerned. Require him to spend his own money on entertainment and non-essential items. Number 5, help him open up a savings account so that he can monitor his money and savings. Number 6, require that a portion of his allowance go to a charity of his choice. Number 7, require a set of portion of his allowance to be saved. And number 8, say no to frivolous, rash buying, and don't give in. As I said, some of these may actually be perfect also for us, not just for the young kids. Good. We are now on the 4th virtue, but I have been talking for almost an hour. And so what I'll do is I'm going to show some videos, and some of you might want to take advantage to go on a washroom break if you want, if you need, while you can take advantage of this time while some of us can view some videos.
Ano di ka namin gusto kaya umalis ka na lang dito?
Hindi ka welcome dito.
Ano, lalabang ka? Sagot! Wala ka nang masusunod.
Sino ka kampi mo?
Wala ka nang maganda ka. Hindi ka. Magagaling ka. Sige, magsumbong na ka dito. Gusto mo lagi ka ba?
Anak?
Mama? Hi, Mami.
Mahirap po.
Si Ma'am stricto pag nagtuturo. Mataray mukha ni Mami. Dapat ang upo mo parati maayos.
Pag nakita ka po niyang hindi nakikinig sa kanya, titigil po siya magturo.
Ako ay isang guro sa Makati High School. Ang tinuturo ko biology, physics, chemistry, and general science. Alas 4 ako gumigising. Kailangan mo talagang mag-alat ng 4 hours kasi malayo nga yung biyahe.
She's the type na pagagalitan ka niya. Pero after the day, if you say sorry to her, she will accept it.
Hindi po siya yung tipong teacher lang eh. Kasi naging nanay din namin siya, best friend, kaibigan. So, ganun po yung banding namin.
Si Mrs. Santiago nagsasalita yan sa amin na kung anong gusto niyo paglaki, mag-aral kayo mabuti, magiging kayo.
Wala nga po akong mom. Tapos siya, parang pinaramdam niya po sa akin na huwag kang susuko kasi nandun naman po siya para gabayan ako.
Yung father ko po, namatay na po siya. Si Mrs. Santiago, tinutulungan niya po ako na magkaroon ng pamasahe sa buong linggo.
Hanggang ngayon po, siya pa rin yung nandyan.
Papasalamat ako kasi naging part ka ng kung ano ko today.
Siya rin yung nagpipilit na magtapos ako ng pag-aaral.
Now that I'm retiring, nalulungkot talaga ako. Ang classroom, ang school ay talagang second family ko na. Kumbaga, tahanan ko na rin yun. Bumabalik sa isipan ko yung paano na to. Wala na akong makakausap na estudyante, wala nang magmamano sa akin. Really, I love them. Mahal naman ko talaga ang mga estudyante ko.
Good morning, Mrs. Santiago!
Ang pagtuturo, andun yung fulfillment. Alam mo, may role kang nagawa para sa kanila. Fulfilling talaga, sa totoo lang. Mamimiss ko talaga.
Okay, so McDonald's lang yan. Huwag na tayong umiyak, okay? But that's just to give you a breather as we now go to the fourth of the 7 essential virtues. And it is very, very important for me because the fourth virtue is respect. And as I told you, the Center for the Fourth and Fifth R's, Asia, of which I am the executive director, stands for respect and responsibility. So respect is a very important virtue that we should develop among the young people if we are going to help them acquire moral intelligence. Showing you value others by treating them in a courteous and considerate way. Again, we look at the crisis of disrespect. And Michelle Borba, pointed out 6 factors kung bakit there is a growing disrespect among the young people today. Number 1, yung impact ng treating the kids disrespectfully. You see, that's why paulit-ulit yung sinasabi natin na if we are going to teach respect to the young kids, they have to see it in us first, the adults. They have to see the adults modeling it. And if they don't see it, which I remember Dr. Ligo was mentioning bago tayo nagsimula, that's what is the problem in many cases these days. Hindi nakikita ng mga kabataan, maraming kabataan, hindi nila nakikita ang tamang asal minsan sa bahay. O kaya sa kanilang mga napapanood sa movies. So, the impact of treating kids disrespectfully, then magkakaroon din talaga tayo ng crisis in the virtue of respect. the decline of civility in society. Magbasa ka ng any newspaper, kahit saang political side of the fence ka, the way people attack each other, the way people curse at each other, there's a decline in civility. Dati hindi ka makakarinig ng pagmumura sa mga taong inaasahan mo who will have high standards of civility. That's not what we're seeing now. There is a decline in civility. The price of fear and suspicion as brought about by social media, for example, or the news that we read about. Number 4, the decrease of prominent role models. Number 5, the increase in obscene language. And number 6, crudeness, rudeness, and raunchiness flaunted by mainstream media, television, radio, movies. Here are what it means to be respectful, the signs of respect. What a respectful people would say, what respectful people would say, pardon me. Parang hindi na natin nadidinig yan, no? Excuse me. Yan. That's an interesting point of view. You see, it's a sign of respect. Kahit na we disagree, you remember that was one of the last questions we had yesterday. Even if you disagree with a person, it doesn't mean you will start attacking and insulting. It's out of respect that we say, that's an interesting point of view. I may not agree with it, etc. Thank you, teachers. Dapat umuulan sa klase natin itong thank you, please, sorry. Dapat laging lumalabas sa bibig natin. You know, collecting papers from the students for their assignment. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Somebody recited, thank you, even if it is a wrong answer. The fact is, tumayo siya para mag-recite. We thank him for it. Please bring out your paper. Please read chapter 5. Please prepare for the exam. Please, we shouldn't be failing in this. I'm sorry I offended you. I'm sorry I made a mistake about my announcement yesterday. I'm sorry I did not get to remind you. It's a sign of respect. I understand you feel differently. I didn't mean to interrupt. I don't want to infringe on your privacy. That's gossiping. It's not nice to talk about someone behind her back. May I borrow these, please? You see, these are all signs of respect. And what do? They wait for the speaker to finish before talking. They open the door for women or older people. They don't talk back. They don't whine. They don't sass. They treat the environment with care and consideration. They listen without interrupting. They listen to someone's opinion with ears and heart. They observe someone's need for privacy. They are careful with someone else's belongings. They obey their parents and teachers even when they don't feel like it, but sheer respect, out of sheer respect. Don't use obscenities, and they are patient and considerate to the elderly and to people with disabilities. Okay, 3 steps. As we always have done this past hours of the lecture, 3 steps to build respect. Number 1, the same, similar to the previous steps, convey the meaning of respect by modeling and teaching it. We cannot do away with role modeling. Okay? Meaning of respect by modeling and teaching it. Here are 7 practices that nurture respect and love. Number 1, treat your student as the most important person in the world. My dear fellow teachers, minsan mahirap gawin to. Because not all students are the same. Some are difficult to deal with. Let's admit that. I mean, it's not being a bad teacher to know that we have some students who sometimes can be very difficult to deal with. Let me tell you a story. You know, when I was in Southridge, I had a student who was difficult to deal with. Yung pagkasinabihan mong sit down, abay titingin ng masama sa'yo at parang siya pa ang galit. Yan, no? But I noticed this guy, this student, pinapakinggan siya ng kanyang mga classmates. Yung bang pag nagsalita siya sa harap ng classroom, nakikinig, no? Pag sinabi ko, as a teacher, I tell the class, bring newspapers for the newspaper drive. Abay, walang magdadala. Pero itong estudyante na to, he was in third year that time. I was their class advisor. Pag nagsabi siyang, hey class, tomorrow newspaper. Bugbugin ko kayo pag wala kayong dala. Nagdadala lahat, no? Everyone would bring papers. Nananalo kami sa newspaper drive. Ayan. So one day, I decided to do something strange. I told him, his name is Jay. Jay, come here. You know, I noticed you have some leadership qualities. I am going to make you the president of a club I'm going to put up. It's called OSE, Organization for Student Empowerment. Yan. And I'm going to make you the chairman. Okay? Ganitong gawin mo, Jay. Pili ka ng 5 of your best friends in the class. All boys school Southridge. Pili ka ng 5 of your best friends. Tapos, mag-overnight seminar tayo. Di ba may bahay kayo sa Tagaytay? Sabi mo sa tatay mo, pahiram ng bahay sa Tagaytay. Mag-overnight seminar tayo doon. I will teach you about project management, leadership, let's strategize how to organize activities, ganyan. Tapos sabihin mo na rin sa tatay mo, siya na rin magbigay ng sasakyan. Tapos nandun na rin lang tayo sa bahay nyo, kayo nang bahala sa pagkain. So that's what we did. We organized a student seminar for the 7 of us, me plus JJ and 5 of his best friends. And that group managed to organize that year medical mission for the janitors, security guards, and maintenance men. We organized a Christmas party for the street children in Sitio, Santo Niño. We managed to organize, we managed to do so many things. And I'm glad I did not give up on Jay, who was difficult to deal with. Because today, the JJ I'm talking about is Congressman Jay Suarez, who finished serving as governor of Quezon Province for 3 terms and is now a congressman. Here's the point I want to bring up, my dear fellow teachers, the students inside your classroom. Some of them someday are going to be very influential, very important, maybe even very powerful. How will you teach your class if you know in your class now, one of them is going to be the future president of the Philippines, or the future governor of Quezon Province, or the future congressman in the House of Congress? How will you teach your students? I know what you're going to do. You're going to teach for character. All opportunities you can have to talk about uprightness and honesty and caring for the poor, you will take advantage to talk about all those things. You see, that is number 1 of respect. Treat your student as the most important person in the world. Number 2, give love with no strings attached. Number 3, listen attentively and respectfully. Sabi nga ng Facebook, it's complicated. Oh yeah, napaka-complicated ng buhay ng mga kabataan ngayon. When they start telling you things, we better listen attentively and respectfully, without judgments. Communicate respect with your whole body, not just with your words. Number 5, build positive self-concepts. Number 6, tell them often why you love and cherish them. And then number 7, you're a teacher. Forever you will be with people. Enjoy being together. Enjoy being a teacher. 3 ways to teach kids the meaning of respect. Number 1, define respect for them. Number 2, ask the golden rule question. The golden rule question, John, how would you like it? How would you like it if people do that to you? Are you okay with that if people said that to you? That's a golden rule. Okay, you don't want people to say that to you, then please don't say it to others. That's a golden rule. Instill respectful rules. And yes, even if you're online classes, you can instill respectful rules that you tell them, okay, class, if I say we begin our online class at 9 a.m., please be on time. Don't make others wait. That is lack of respect. Respect the time of others. Especially yung mga nangyayari minsan, hindi ka makapag-umpisa kung hindi pa dumadating yung mga ibang kasama sa meeting. Those people are making the others lose time. Kulang sa respect yun. Instill respectful rules. Step number 2, enhance respect for authority and squelch rudeness. Okay, that's step number 2, enhancing respect for authority and squelch rudeness. Here are how to get rid of disrespectful behaviors. Well, I have to be moving faster. Let's just go over these steps. Step 1, remember, we are talking about how to get rid of disrespectful behavior. Call out the rude behavior on the spot without shouting, screaming, or yelling, but simply calling it out and then saying explicitly that it is rude. That's a rude thing to say. That's a rude thing to do. Refuse to engage when treated disrespectfully. This is also very, very good, especially at home, dealing with the young people. Step 3, if rudeness continues, set a consequence. 4, teach new behaviors to replace inappropriate ones. And step number 5, encourage respectful behavior to substitute the wrong deed, wrong action with the right one. Okay, step 3, emphasizing good manners and courtesy, they do count. We do continue requiring them to greet good morning, good afternoon. These are not passé. These are not just for kids. This is for everyone. And we too model it without being afraid, without being ashamed, to greet them. Even if, especially kung nasa face-to-face situation na tayo, minsan some teachers will wait for the student to greet them. No, we are the adults, we model it. Even if we just saw them inside the classroom earlier, we meet them in the corridor, good morning, good afternoon, or sign of courtesy, even just to acknowledge their presence, they do count. Aside from emphasizing that we expect them to use words like please, thank you, may I, okay? So it's very disappointing when you have a student coming to you saying, sir, I did not get the handout, I need one. No? That's not respectful. Sir, I did not get the handout, may I have one? Can I please have one? That's more respectful. And yeah, we have to emphasize it and we have to require it. They do matter. Let's go to number 5, kindness. We can go very fast in this one because, well, it is something that I'm sure most schools, if not all, would usually have so-called kindness campaign, random acts of kindness campaign, demonstrating concern about the welfare and feeling of others. And yes, there is a crisis of unkindness because of the absence of modeling of parents or other adults. There is not enough encouragement for kindness. There is influence of unkind peers, barkada, kaibigan. And then number 4, the desensitization to unkindness. One clear manifestation of this absence of kindness, go to social media, go to Facebook, go to Twitter, and watch how people bash people, how people comment things that they would not dare say face to face to someone. But nilagay mo yan dyan if you're not ready to say it face to face to that person? Nandyan yung problema ng what we call the anonymity of the screen. They write whatever they want there without thinking much about it because the other guy cannot answer back. Anonymity of the screen. Okay, what are the signs of kindness? People who are kind say things like, "Are you okay? You seem lonely. Let's pick up the trash. The yard is a mess." Paano kita matutulungan? That's a kind thing to say. "Are you new here? Want to join us?" That's kindness. "What do you need? What can I do?" Don't say that. It hurts her feelings. Ikaw muna. You go first. You seem tired. That's kindness. "I'm sorry, I hurt your feelings." Comments that make others happy, words that encourage and uplift others. So, what do kind people do? They stick up for someone being teased. They offer to help someone in need. They show concern when someone is sad. They refuse to be part of ridiculing others. They take care of the environment. They pay attention to others' concerns. Think about the needs of others. Practice acts that make people happy and show concern when someone is treated unkindly. 3 steps to build kindness. Number 1, teach them the meaning and value of kindness. Number 2, establish zero tolerance for unkindness. And number 3, encourage kindness and point out its positive effect. So, like what we've always done, 3 steps. This is step number 1. Here are 4 ways to help kids understand kindness. Number 1, modeling it. You see, we cannot do away with modeling. We show them what it means to be kind. Number 2, expect and demand kindness. Teach the meaning of kindness and show what kindness looks like. Here are some samples of heartwarmer statements to teach kids. Is everything all right? Yan. Dapat laging lumalabas din sa atin yan. Ano? Hindi lang yung we go to the class and then, okay, pass the assignment I gave you. If you see the class, some students to be worried, it's okay not to get into the lesson first and then to ask, is everything all right? Is there anything, is there any problem? I appreciate your help. Can I get something for you? I'm here for you. These are heartwarming statements that if young people hear from the adults, they learn kindness from our example. Congratulations. Celebrate little successes. If you don't, one day you wake up, there's nothing to celebrate about anymore. Call me when you need me. Let me know. You know my email address. Please send me a message if there is anything that you need me to attend to or you have a problem with. What can I do? I hope you feel better. I hope you do well. I know you can do it. And I always, when I announce an exam to my students, I never fail to mention this. Okay, class, our exam is next week. Please do your best to get perfect in the score. Please do your best to get perfect in the exam. You see, that's not just optimism. It's a sign of respect that you know they can do it. It's a kind act. Get well soon. I'm sorry. Thank you. Are you okay? Good luck. I'm thinking about you. These are all heartwarmers that students, young people, if they hear from us, they learn from our example of kindness. Step number 2, establish zero tolerance for unkindness. Okay? If we want our kids to be kind and do what is right, it is imperative that they recognize that unkind words and deeds are hurtful and are therefore not welcome in our class, in our classroom, in our community. I'm not going to tackle these 4 ways to reduce unkind behaviors, but they are in the slides that I have sent to Ma'am Sarah, Dr. Ligo. I think I also provided the link where you can download the entire presentation yesterday as well as this one. And I encourage you to go over these parts, which I will not tackle anymore. There's another part there that talks about 10 reasons why kids today are mean. Okay? Here are 5 ways schools and families are fighting unkindness. Dr. Borba visited many schools around the world, and these are 5 things she saw schools and families are doing to fight unkindness. They make no put down posters. They create a no put down pledge. They make the students raise their right hand and pledge that they will not put down their classmates. They will not resort to bullying, to putting down, to hurting others with their words, etc. Hold a put down burial. Make a turnaround rule and penalize put downs. Okay, and then step number 3, encourage kindness and point out its positive effects. This is step 3 of the 3 ways or the 3 steps to develop kindness. 3 ideas for helping kids practice doing kind deeds. Number 1, create a kind heart centerpiece. This is especially useful for the lower grades. Number 2, assign secret kindness pals. Many schools would do the buddy system. This one is secret kindness pals. One person assigned to do acts of kindness towards another person, and they don't know who is assigned to whom. And you have a class secretly doing kind acts for each other. That's a fantastic environment. Make a giving tree where they do act of kindness at home, and then on a piece of paper they write that down, and you can ask them, the parents, to sign it, and then they put it there on the kindness tree. One look at the kindness tree or the giving tree, and you will know how much good or kind acts the class has been doing. Okay, 6th virtue. We're down to the last 2. I mentioned this yesterday, tolerance. Tolerance is one of the 7 essential virtues if you are to build moral intelligence. And this is one thing that many people today do not have, even among adults. Okay? We can be intolerable. We don't tolerate the opinions of others. We easily get upset with someone who disagrees with us, who does not agree with us. That's absence of tolerance. You see, tolerance is respecting the dignity and rights of all persons, even those whose beliefs and behaviors differ from our own. And there is a crisis in tolerance because, number 1, lack of moral monitoring. Number 2, decline of meaningful community support. Number 3, accessibility of internet hate sites, the culture of bashing, no, which we already somehow mentioned earlier. Number 4, racially charged video entertainment aimed at youth. The case in the US now with the rallies erupting here and there because of the George Floyd case, there, and everyone has witnessed that. And there are many more videos that are like that, racially charged. And sometimes for entertainment, for sheer entertainment that they watch them. Number 5, hate music or grunge. And number 6, prejudice and stereotypes displayed on TV. So media has a lot to do in the growth of this intolerance, a crisis in the virtue of tolerance. Okay, here are the signs. Ano ibig sabihin pag ang tao ay tolerant? A tolerant person will say, hey, stop it. You're putting her down. That's being tolerant. That's not funny. It makes fun of her race. I'm not joining any club that excludes people because of their religion. Why don't you let him on the team? So what if he's never hit a ball before? Yeah. Hey, stop it. It's hurtful to make fun of people of how people look. You don't know her, so don't make fun of her. That's being tolerant. So what if he's in a wheelchair? I'm going to ask him to join us. So, tolerant people refuse to take part in activities that make fun of people because they are different. They do not laugh at jokes or demeaning comments about someone's race, religion, culture, size, gender, or sexual orientation. And they focus on what they have in common with others instead of their differences. They refuse to exclude someone because he is different or not as experienced as something as the others. Stand up for someone who is being put down or ridiculed. So, again, 3 steps: model it, instill an appreciation for diversity, and counter stereotypes and never tolerate prejudice. That's step 1, modeling and nurturing tolerance. Here are 6 practices that help raise tolerant kids. Number 1, tayo mismo. Let us look into ano ba ang ating mga prejudices. Baka hindi natin napapansin, we can sometimes be racist. We can sometimes be making fun of the accent of people who come from the Bisaya, like that, the Visayas, or the Ilocanos. We ourselves, without realizing it, may actually have certain prejudices. Number 2, let us commit ourselves to raising tolerant kids. Number 3, refuse to allow discriminatory comments in our presence. Number 4, let's provide positive images of all ethnic groups, being welcoming, being open. And number 5, encourage involvement with a wide range of diversities. And number 6, live your life as an example of tolerance. So, second step now, we are down to our last 15 minutes. Instill an appreciation for diversity. Okay, this is step number 2. I want you to think about it. Think about these things. What is tolerance? Do you think people are born tolerant? Or do they become tolerant? Who are some people you know who are tolerant? What makes them tolerant? And how do you know if someone is tolerant? What kinds of things would an intolerant person do? Like possible behaviors include making fun of people, jumping to conclusions, laughing at someone's disability, gossiping, engaging in name calling, making jokes about someone's differences, rejecting someone because he looks or acts differently. Why do you think some people make fun of others who look or act differently? Is it right? Why? Do you know what it means to be a racist? Have you ever experienced racism or witnessed someone else experiencing racism? What happened? How do you feel? Was it wrong or right? So, itong mga questions na to, it's good to think about these things so that we address, we confront our own prejudices. And before you know it, you might actually start realizing, ay, oo, I most of the time don't like right away someone who speaks with effeminate sound. That's lack of tolerance. Ay, oo nga, I get irritated right away when someone talks with a certain accent. Kulang tayo sa tolerance. In other words, it's good for us to do an examination ourselves and really find out, are we able to model tolerance as a virtue? 4 ways to develop positive attitudes about diversity. Number 1, celebrate differences early on. 2, expose the young to diversity. 3, give straightforward answers to questions about differences. 4, help them look for similarities. Kasi yun yung gusto natin gawin. Not just to tolerate other people, but to actually find similarities rather than differences, and then to agree to disagree. Okay, that was brought up yesterday, and I answered that question. Okay, step number 4, counter stereotypes and never tolerate prejudice. Well, you have a reading assignment again. It is in the outline, it is in the slides that you can download. 4 ways to curtail prejudice by teaching kids to counter stereotypes. And we're down to the last of the 7 essential virtues. And the last one is fairness, defined as choosing to be open-minded and to act in a just and fair way. Sabi nila, it's one of the first virtues a child learns. Kaya pakinggan nyo yung mga batang naglalaro. Unfair. Ayan, sisigaw sila, no? You're not fair. Ibig sabihin, bata pa lang, they start having a certain understanding of what it means to be fair. Well, here are signs of a strong sense of fairness. People who are fair, they say, I chose the game, so you go first. Being fair. Let's decide on the rules and shake our hands, shake on them. I want to hear both sides of the story first. You see, sometimes we adults can also fail in fairness. We make judgments even before hearing the two sides of the story. Let us find a way to make things fair. Let's take turns. You go first. That's not fair. You're not treating him right. That belongs to my brother, so we cannot use it. That's fairness. And then, fair people, they do this. They stick up for others who are treated unfairly. They play by the rules and don't change them midstream. They keep an open mind and listen to all sides before judging. They compromise so that everyone gets her fair share. They take turns and share. They act fairly at all times, even when unsupervised by adults. So, the 3 steps bring us back to this. Number 1, treat your students fairly. Help your students learn to behave fairly and teach your students ways to stand up against unfairness and injustice. So yung una, treating our students fairly is the same as model it. Don't just say it, show it. Don't just lecture about fairness, show them what it means to be fair. 5 adult behaviors that boost fairness in kids. Number 1, being a strong example. Number 2, expect and demand fairness at all times. Number 3, share your beliefs about fairness. Number 4, listen fairly and openly. And number 5, set fair and realistic expectations. Second step, help your students learn to behave fairly. Here are 3 ways to foster sharing in kids. Number 1, create sharing boundaries. Number 2, encourage sharing behavior. This is really one step forward rather than just, part of being fair is that they are ready to share with others and be able to fairly treat others, even to the advantage of the others, and emphasize the effect sharing has on others. Okay, well, this is the last step to building fairness. Teach your students ways to stand up against unfairness and injustice. And you can say, yeah, if we need change in society, in politics, then we have to raise kids, young people, who will not tolerate injustice, will not tolerate unfairness, and they will fight for fairness, for justice. Politics is not evil. It's bad people who are there that makes it evil, that make it evil. I look forward to the day when PWU will be producing fantastic politicians who will make a big difference in the world and change things and fight against injustice and fight against unfairness for the sake especially of the most needy, of the poorest, of the voiceless. Now more than ever, we need good people. So I want to give you this assigned reading from the slides, 7 tips to get kids started on doing social justice projects. I've really reached the end of the presentation. I'd like to end by sharing just one more thing. Teaching is not a very easy thing that we're doing. It's more challenging than ever given the situation. And I encourage you, I'm very happy always to see announcement in the PWU Facebook page, mass being streamed. That's fantastic. That's what we need more than ever now. And so what I'd like to do is to end by encouraging you teachers, if we are to be better teachers, in fact, let me put that in a proper context. In the end, the seminar yesterday and today is nothing else but an invitation to you, dear teachers. Let us be the best teachers we can be, because the young people need us now more than ever. Your children at home and the students in school, they need you more than ever. We cannot afford to fail in our job as teachers now. And so I'd like to encourage you and give you one last strategy if we are to win this battle: to turn to God. To use our faith in God, the faith in the Almighty, that we will be effective and fruitful in the work that we do in spite of the present situation, in spite of the challenges we face today. And I'd like to share this last video with you to end my presentation. Sorry, I think I need to, okay.
It's impossible to say everything it means to me to be a child of a loving God. But I know He has a plan to bring us home to Him again, a plan of happiness. It is glorious. He gave to us His life. It's brighter than the stars and a little
And that's for all of you, dear teachers. And with a final word that let's do our job very well. Let's be the best teachers we can possibly be, because it's actually God who has entrusted these students to our care. I like that expression. You are not given subjects to teach. You are entrusted with the young people to to mold the minds of, to form the character of. That's what we are doing as teachers, as educators. And I hope that our session yesterday and today, if there is only one thing you're going to pick up, it's the strong conviction that, oo nga, I better be the best teacher I can possibly be. I have to improve. I have to do my work better than I've ever done before, because the young people need me more than they ever needed me before, given the situation we find ourselves in. Again, I'd like to thank PWU for these opportunities. Sir Marco Benitez, thank you for this invitation to reach out to your teachers. And I wish you luck, all the luck in the world. Go out there, be the best teachers you can be. I look forward to seeing PWU as the best school there is in the country, in Asia, because you have the best people in the faculty. Thank you. And I hope I've been able to share useful things with you. Thank you very much, Sarah.
Oh, yes, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. May, may question pa dito, pero isa lang. Will
Mm-mm.
you accommodate at least
Sure.
one? This is from
Yeah.
Sir Noel Soler,
Go
Quezon.
ahead. Mhm.
Thank you for sharing your knowledge and insight on a very timely topic. All things considered, in re-educating the parents and reorienting the mentors on moral intelligence and character formation, how do we explain to our young learners the lack of moral ascendancy in the present disposition of the national government, which they see and hear on media every day? Will it not be hypocritical to condone or even ignore the reality?
Mhm.
Isn't it accountability? Isn't it accountability? Wow, para
Yeah.
mukha na sagot nito. An
Well,
important requisite in the whole process.
yeah. Without having to attack people, without having to specifically, I mean, they know what's happening in the world. Um, and so, what I always want to do whenever I am given the chance to talk to young people, for example, is I tell them, I need you to stand up. I need you to once and for all say, enough is enough. We need good people in government, in politics, in Congress, in Senate. And you, young people, are the solution. You're not the problem. Sure, we talk about um, crisis in character. We talk about selfishness and vanity, all-time high. Um, but you, young people, I tell them, are really the solution to the problem, because you are the ones who are sooner or later going to take over these posts, going to be occupying the seats there in Congress and in Senate. And we need good people. So please grow up to be men and women of character, so that you can be in a position to lead our country um, to greater heights. It's in your hands. So we have to be
Yes.
always challenging the young people without having to, whatever political fence we are sitting on, without having to insult or hurl attacks at people we know are guilty. um, it's just enough to challenge them. We need good people now more than ever. So it's in your hands. You should be the solution to this crisis that we're seeing in the world today. And that's why I say we shouldn't lose by default. Okay? Teachers should not fail to talk about the need for justice, the need for fairness, the need to raise our standards of self control, empathy, conscience, higher than ever, whatever subject we're teaching. And in the end, this may be the best thing we will give them. Not the knowledge of factoring, not just the subject-verb agreement, not just how to multiply, divide, and subtract, but especially on how to grow up to be a good human being. Deep-seated desire to be a good human being. If we can do that, we're contributing to the solution in the crisis that we see in the world today.
Exactly. So thank you, Sir Rintoy. I remember attending a youth forum. There is one youth towards the end. He shared and with parang sharing na my question na what is happening to you? Remember, we are the generation you created. So whatever you are passing on to us, this is your creation. So what's your problem? So I look at him and said, yeah, o nga pala, no? Talagang generation to generation. They only can absorb as much as we are able to share or impart to them all these things in terms of moral intelligence and of character. So at this time po, Sir Rintoy, I'd like to call in our director for the Institute of Family Life and Children's Study, Doc Lina Laigo, for the closing message, and then this will be followed by an awarding of our thanks to you by Sir Marco, our university president. Doc Lina. Hello, Doc Lina. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, pa-unmute.
Naka-mute si ma'am.
Doc Lina, naka-mute kayo. One more time. Take two.
Okay. I think, all right. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Loud and
good.
clear.
All right. Well, I would like to thank Mr. Rantoy again for this very enlightening discussion, today discussion. And I would also like to thank Sir Marco for linking us up with you. No, it's been a lot of thought, food for thought, a lot of reflection that we need to do after your talk. And but I would like to thank you for spreading the gospel of building character and moral intelligence. You know, yesterday you started your talk with service and sacrifice. And I think that we all know that service puts meaning to our lives. It gives us purpose, no? And this is something that we all need to work towards, no? Purpose in our lives. And also a lot of talks, homily talks by the priest that I usually hear mass online every morning. And I've been hearing a lot about compassion and kindness these last few days, no? And it all works together. It puts together everything that you've been talking about. Kindness, compassion that we need to put into our lives, that we need to embrace, that we need to instill, and we need to teach and model to our young people. It's something actually that we don't a lot of us have not as much learned from our parents because iba naman ang kanilang mga teachings, but we learn through life. You know, a lot of studies sa Filipino families have indicated that the values that they teach the young, no, normally is respect and obedience, kindness, integrity, and honesty. And all of these are related to the 7 core values that you were talking about. Add to that compassion, kindness, tolerance, conscience, and self-control, and discipline, fairness. Ang self-discipline palagay ko medyo pinakahirap because today's generation is the I-gendered generation. I, me, myself. And so therefore it's difficult for them to think about others. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Can you still hear me, Sarah? Sarah, can you still hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Loud and clear.
Okay. So as I was saying, the self-discipline, no, and the self-control is kind of very difficult to teach the young today because it is the I generation, the I, me, myself, instant gratification, and all of that. So I think we have to struggle with that a little bit more in teaching our young people. But the bottom of it all is that we want to live in a better world. So we really need to model a lot of this. But we also have to struggle within ourselves to be able to uh, to uh, to integrate the values. Kasi kung minsan nakakalimutan natin, di ba? So lahat tayo dapat mag-reflect. How can we do this? How can we apply this to our lives? And how can we teach the young people so that they will be able to understand what we're talking about? So that they can make their world a better place to live in. Ang hirap talaga. But then, that's what life is all about. We just need to struggle with one another. We need to help one another. Kindness, compassion. So that we can make this world a better place to live in, especially for the young. That's what we all look forward to, a better world for the young, and especially for our children. So, with that, I would like to say thank you again, for all of us reflect on the session with these last 2 days, and let's put a smile to our face, and we make other people smile as well. Thank you very much again, Mr. Rento, and thank you everybody for listening.
Thank you very much.
And attending session. Sarah, you're mute.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Doc Linda, for the inspiring message. And that's a good takeaway also. At this time po, I'd like to call in Sir Marco.
Okay, good morning again, everyone.
Morning.
I would just like to take this opportunity again to thank Mr. Entoy for graciously accepting our invitation. And hopefully, this will not be the last. Mr. Entoy is a very prolific speaker, and he has a wide range of topics that he has been known to talk about. And the past two talks have really been very timely and very relevant. And I like, again, going back to that phrase, you're not teaching subjects, but we're teaching students. And that is really the core principle and the why of our reason for being here at PWU. So thank you very much, sir. And I would just like to read out the certificate. Philippine Women's University presents this certificate of appreciation to Mr. Emmanuel Rentoy for conducting the forum on building moral intelligence, given this 5th day of September 2020, Philippine Women's University, Taft Avenue, Manila, signed Dr. Lina B. Laigo, Director, IFLCS of PWU, Dr. Susie M. Benitez, Associate Vice President, Campus Life, and yours truly. So thank you very much, sir, and hopefully this will be first of many.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So thank you everyone for joining. So we have an evaluation sheet. Thank you, Sir Marco, for awarding the certificate. Thank you for the support and for pushing us to do more and be more and learn more, sir, in this webinar web live. Thank you so much. And Zoom is first. Okay, nakabahan ako. Thank you sa ICT. Thank you sa multimedia. Thank you everyone. So for the evaluation form, we will have an evaluation form. Two ways you can do. First is you can scan the QR code that you are seeing on the screen. Or second, you can click the link posted on the FB page. So in answering the evaluation form, we will give you a certificate, an e-certificate of attendance of joining this session on building moral intelligence. And I hope to see you again. So tamang-tama po after this building moral intelligence, September 25, it will be Dr. Susie Benitez, who will be our resource speaker for civility in the workplace. And I hope also to see you all there po. So this is a series. And hopefully, Sir Rentoy, pwede pa naman ng mga susunod pang sessions with you. I hope na we can schedule for the teachers and the parents po for IFLCS. I'm inspired to do this for the parents, and sana po mga students rin, or a combination of the parent and the student, baka possible yun, sir. Para magka heart to heart Magka-heart to heart po sila. So, yun po. So, maraming salamat, Sir Rentoy. We will email you over thanks, and we will email you of the e-certificate, sir. So, I'd like to thank also Family Life, the Institute of Family Life and Children's Study, PWU JASM's Quezon City. I'd like to thank BED faculty or Basic Education faculty, JASM's Quezon City, Philippine Women's University School of Learning, the IT faculty, PW, SFAD, JCB Gallery, SHM faculty, SOE department. And for all those who have commented also on the Zoom chat box, so rest assured that this will be forwarded to Sir Man.
Mr. Rantoy.
Yes
Yeah.
po. And all he also gave us the copy of all his slides, so we can email it to you. Siguro palitan tayo. You give us the evaluation and then we'll give you his presentation.
Yep.
Para win-win tayo, para talagang maximize. And then you can also email Sir Man Rentoy at manrentoy@gmail.com, so you are seeing it on the screen.
Yeah.
And you might also want to get him as resource for your event, para we can maximize everything that he's been doing for 15 years.
Thank you, Mr. Rantoy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's an honor.
Okay.
Okay.
So with that, let's call this a day. It's 12.
Thank you, Sarah.
In,
Thank you, Sarah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Thank
po.
you.
Enjoy. PWU him, sir. Let's go.